I got a call from a friend that was having a problem connecting to their sign to send new programming to it. And when we got there, found out that the computer that had been designed to connect to the sign, that's its only job, and run headless without a monitor, just using remote software to go in. That way, not having to fool with programming software on each computer that tried to connect to the sign. Anyway, found that that computer was dead, would not respond to anything. So on further inspection, found where the processor heatsink here was 100% stopped up. There was a lot of blockage in the power supply, so that led us to find out that the power supply was dead, and had taken some other things with it. So after a good cleaning of the processor heatsink, replacing the power supply, replacing several bad capacitors on the motherboard, and also replacing the hard drive because there was some physical damage to the hard drive as far as to the data sectors. And we powered the machine right on. Everything worked fine. Went and put the computer back at the location. And then took a look at the signs outside. All the electronics been in its weatherproof housing for a little over 3 years. Everything was fine there, but one of the signs itself had some artifacting in the playlist. So play this video clip here, and you'll see the good sign, the bad sign, what the images are supposed to be, and you can see that there's some strobing, there's some things out of alignment, there's some stray spots, just not what it's supposed to be. So this test mode can show you how some of the things are actually reacting, and you'll see that things are out of place. Just it's not running smoothly across like it should. So in further inspection of the sign, found that the back panel, which was a some sort of plastic composite material, had shrank, and the top edge of it had popped out of its channel and had basically turned the sign into a large bucket. Now, the signs for the most part are designed to be out in the weather, to handle some moisture, but not to get full of water. There is some conformal coating, different things, and just the nature of the way they're built. They're not highly susceptible to just humidity and standard amounts of moisture, but when you get a sign open like this, it's just collecting water. It becomes a real problem. And then you can see here internally some of the adhesive had just catastrophically failed. You can see the water marking on the boards. You can also see the heavy corrosion on some of the drivers, and even some corrosion on the backs of the diodes where they push through their circuit boards and solder in place. So our next steps here was to rearrange the drivers and find out which drivers were faulty, and then of course order replacement parts there. Then took and in taking known good drivers and placing throughout positions in the sign, found where there were bad traces on the modules, the circuit board that the LEDs are actually soldered onto. And so where bad traces are, there would be a sequence of diodes out that if jumped would come on, So the diodes were not bad, although we did replace two diodes in the entirety of this sign, red LED diodes. But a lot of the outage after replacing driver board was bad traces in the modules, and that's typically where the circuit board traces are actually made to the almost to the edge of the board, so where it sits in its channel in the sign structure, gets crushed over time and just loses connection, and it can be intermittent. So the solution there is to run jumpers from the driver to the proper pin placement on the back of the module to basically backfeed the trace of the appropriate signal, and there got everything working 100%. And then it was a matter of a good thorough cleaning with proper compounds, redoing the silicone sealant adhesive with 100% silicone product, and then taking and doing a good conformal coating on the backs of the modules where the pin protrusion on the front is, redoing that on front, and also on the older drivers, conformal coating on those after a good cleaning on those as well. Getting everything reassembled, running several day burn-in, having more traces fail, finding them out, and then jumping them to the driver. And after several days consecutive running with no further trace fails, then putting programming onto the sign, make sure everything's communicating fine, and then reinstalling the sign. So this time with this impromptu, helping my friend out, just not set up to record repairs in process, different lighting, camera mounts, things, just not tooled up to produce that level of content. So that's why the slideshow here. But comment below, let me know if you'd like to see more content like this, that as just random things come through here, a friend calls with this problem or that problem, tackling a variety of different things, and getting some information out there on some of these products that there's just not a lot of information out there about.